Hello, friends. All right, so I have a transmission here for you that feels so important to the now and where we're at. And I just want to dive in because I want to keep this as short and sweet as possible. Once I get into channel, sometimes they have other plans. I'm not in control here. I'm not the boss. So we'll just let it flow. But this message that they've really been clarifying for me, and it feels very relevant right now. I see a lot of people talking about it. I see a lot of people kind of fretting and stressing about this topic of what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And I think it makes sense, right? When we start to awaken, when we start to recognize the multidimensionality, the quantum worlds, that there's more here that we're doing, that it's not just about survival, that it's not just about the material world, that there's so much more. The natural progression is, well, if it's bigger than this, then what am I supposed to be doing? Right. And I think for those that have decided to incarnate into a path, like if you're here, I'm talking to you, just to be clear. Those of us that have decided to incarnate into a path that we are going to awaken in this lifetime, and that's something that's an intention we've set, that's our plan, that's the goal. So if you have a twin flame, that's the goal, right? Because you wouldn't choose that path if you weren't here to awaken to who you truly are and to remember who you truly are. But any type of light work, any type of spiritual work that resonates for you on this journey, your soul that knew you had something to do here, right? You're here for business. You're here to have fun. You're here to create. You're here to enjoy. But you're also here. You have something to do. So from the time you're probably a small child, you have this inkling, this itch, and so you probably are very driven by your purpose, right? Very purpose driven, and the world sends us a lot of conflicting messages around purpose and earning income and surviving and the material world and status and the ego. So all of us, I'm sure, have gotten confused along the path and along the way. And I know for me, this was one of my greatest pain points, honestly, was purpose and mission prior to the twin flame journey happening for me, or the awareness, I should say, of the twin flame journey. That was a big pain point that really progressed me and helped me evolve, because it was just this deep inner knowing, like, I know I'm supposed to be doing more, and a dissatisfaction and a lot of confusion. And the thing that's really important to remember, it's funny, is we're just here to remember. So the thing that's really important to remember is we're just here to remember. So if you are at this, let's say, like this fraction of remembering who you truly are, the chances of you coming into your true divine purpose is about here. But if you have evolved to a place of like, let's say here, right, where you're like, okay, I really have this deep understanding of who I am, and I just know who I am. I know it. I'm expressing it. I'm coming into union with my soul energy. I'm in union with like my intentions, my actions, my thoughts. It's all lining up. And yeah, you're maybe you don't have perfect days, but for the most part, you're getting really clear. It's really easy for you to say no, to set boundaries, to let go of people and places and things when it doesn't match with your soul's intention. It's hard, but you're getting more comfortable with it. From that place, you can start to get more clarity on purpose. But in the grand scheme, in the big multidimensional, like everything, the all, why are we here? Why do we incarnate? Why do we come into a physical body? Why do we leave the oneness of the beyond? Why do we come into this density? To remember who we are, right? To remember, to be an expression of the divine, to be a physical manifested expression of creator, to create. It's not to learn. And I myself have been very confused about this. Like, the earth is a school and we're here to learn. And yeah, you're going to learn. That's the process. That's going to happen. There's going to be an evolution. There's going to be opportunities for greatness and opportunities for the opposite, right? There's going to be a lot of potential. And it's all about that free will choice that we have when we're in these bodies. Because when we're in the oneness, right, when we are in union and one with the divine, when we are the divine, which is not in this dimension. I mean, we are, but just for the context of what I'm trying to explain here, we can't go against our nature. We can't forget who we are. We already know who we are. There, you couldn't forget what you are, right? But this dimension is unique in that that's part of the game here. That's part of the path. The path is to forget so that we can find our way back. And this is the divine 111 on my clock. This is the divine's beautiful, perfect creation to know thyself, to know what love is simply by knowing what love isn't. So if you're a twin flame, that's one of the biggest things you wanted to learn. You wanted to know what love is not. You wanted to come down and experience the opposite of love. True divine love. Unconditional, unlimited, you name it, whatever label you want to give it. That's what you want to know. You have to know what it isn't. Because when you aren't embodied and you're just floating around in bliss and the union and the cosmos, there's no way that you can even conceive, that you can even conceptually, you can't even think about what love isn't. You have no idea. You have no idea, right? Which is why Earth can feel like such a wake up, whoa, holy shit, what is going on here, right? It can feel so difficult to be in density, embodied, because a lot of us maybe just came from that blissful place where it's all love. And then we embody here and it's like, whoa. Yeah. So the purpose that we are all here to do is to know thyself, to remember who we truly are. And that process is in the act of not being who we are. That's how we learn. So if we couldn't take a step back from shame, from guilt, from right, from wrong, from blame, someone is blowing me up right now. Okay, if they call one more time, then I'm going to think it's serious and I need to call back. Sorry, guys, 1 second. Okay. I think it's going to be okay. Okay. So, your purpose is to be you, the fullest, most extraordinary, magnificent version of you, which is the God self, the expression, the individualized God self of you, right? To be in union with your soul energy, to be in resonance, to move and create in the world in a way that is in deep, deep resonance with your soul, deep harmony with your soul. Now, we each have free will choice. So we can choose to create a life that is the opposite of that. We can choose to go out of resonance. We can choose to go so far down this path of pain, of not love, of fear, right? The opposite of love. We can choose to go so far back down that path. And that is our choice. And that is us understanding what love isn't, so that we can understand what love is. Let's take, for example, a human that makes a lot of choices in this lifetime that, seem very dark, seems very, very hard for us, maybe as an observer to watch it. It's so much pain. Why are they doing this to themselves? Like, what is, and you just watch and you just feel pain, but they, of course, have free will choice. Let's say someone's life ends before they come out of that. Okay, let's say their life ends in this dimension, which, by the way, no life ever ends. There is no death, right? Okay, these are high concepts, I know, that we all should really spend time contemplating and meditating on, because they will really help us gain these deeper understandings where we're like, oh my God, it's all good. Everything's good. Anyways, but let's say that person's life here on Earth ends without their redemption story, if you will, or their comeback. So they immediately move back into the oneness, into the all, into the bliss and union, if they choose. They don't have to choose it when they pass. They can take their time. But essentially, that option becomes available to them again because they've left this density. So they remember, once again, who they really are. They remember what the truth is of all, of the creation, of creator. They remember, oh, I'm one. Oh, I'm love. And love is all there is. And they've just been very enriched, because it's kind of like if it rains all the time, you're going to have such a deep appreciation of sunshine, right? And vice versa. If it's sunny all the time, when it rains, you're going to be like, oh, like it's going to just be this deep appreciation. That is the nature of life. That's one of the divine dichotomies. That's the paradox. The paradox is we can't know what something is until we know what something isn't. So essentially life and what we're doing here, what your purpose is to experience all different versions of you, all different versions of life. You may choose to stay more in love, right? And that's okay. Maybe this is a life where you just really want to experience that. So maybe you don't feel you need to go into the darkness, right? Maybe you don't feel that you need to experience that. I feel most of you here are probably not going to resonate necessarily with that. Most of you here are going to resonate more with, no, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And most people, my friends and family didn't know what I was doing. And they, just whatever, like you really had to go into that. So your purpose is always, always, always finding who you are, remembering who you are. That's way more powerful, remembering. And you do this, the steps, the actions, how you do this is you live and you create and you experience, right? So it's kind of an experimentation. So those of you that struggle with this idea, I feel like I'm supposed to do something. I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. The only disservice you can do to yourself is to put stress and guilt and shame and frustration on yourself about what you're doing or not doing, right? Your soul wants to experience it all. So allow your soul to move. So you, let's just show this in like a basic example. You take a job, just take the job, right? Maybe you'll find out very quickly, my soul is not in resonance with this. It feels very out of alignment. I feel like I'm having to compromise myself or my beliefs or, my boundaries. Great. You just learned what you were not. You just had an experience of remembering because you remembered who you were through noting who you are not. Leave the job. It's that simple. It's that simple. Move away. The second that comes up, right? And some of us take a little longer, and that's okay because it's all a process. It's all good. It's all divine. It's all perfection. And yes, we can always use our free will choice to move very quickly. Some of us are quick, right? You can probably observe people. Some people, it seems to be slow, right? And some people, they're just quick. They move through energies very quick. They transform, they transmute. I've tended to be that type of person where from the outside, people are like, oh, you were just best friends with this person and now you're not friends anymore. Or what, oh, you just lived here and now you don't live there. And I'm like, oh yeah, I figured it out. It wasn't in resonance. Yeah, I moved on. It's great. Let's go. Right. And there's always lessons within that. Okay. So that, not making it black and white there, but some people just understand and they can move through those things very quickly. Whereas others, it might take time. And I will say on some of the harder lessons I've had to learn, it did take me a lot longer, right? It did take me a lot longer, but there's certain things that maybe were easier for me. And same thing with you. There's certain things that might be easier for you. Maybe it's a lot easier for you to move through risk and growth and potential when it comes to maybe like money and finances. And it's easy for you. You're like, it's not a problem. Whereas somebody else could have a lot more kind of fear wrapped up in that based on their childhood conditioning, based on how they were raised, based on the karma that they came in with, based on the things that they wanted to learn. So to summarize, your purpose is to remember who you truly are. And you do that by creating, which is living, by moving through energies. There is no good, bad, right, wrong. The second that you feel disharmony, the second that you feel a lack of resonance, that's your fire in the pants. That's your ignition. That is not something to be ignored. And society obviously really teaches you to ignore yourself and to self-abandon. That process of self-abandonment is a part of remembering who you are not, so you can come back to who you are. So you see, it's really simple, but in action, it might feel kind of difficult sometimes. But when a lot of you, I get people that have these questions like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? Sometimes that's what you want to work on in a session. Sometimes that's the questions you want to ask in the Akashic records. And the guides are so cheeky in how they present this information because they're basically saying, we're waiting on you to tell us because you are creating it as you move. But you can't know what you want and what's true until you've experienced what's not. That's part of the game here, right? That's part of the discovery. That's part of it. So yeah, you could have a whole career, multiple different careers, doing different things and finding out little pieces. Like you're always gaining insight, you're always gaining wisdom, you're always remembering. So nothing is ever lost, nothing is ever a waste. You can't waste time, you can't mess it up. This is what we mean when we say you can't mess it up. So once you gain the insight, once you gain the understanding and you gain the information that you need to understand the resonance or the lack of resonance. It's up to you now with the free will choice to move forward. No one's going to intervene. No one's going to do it for you. I'm guided to share a quick little story here, and then we'll wrap this up. So I'm a big fan of animals. All animals, shapes and sizes, it doesn't matter. I love them all. The creepy crawlies, the scaries, whatever. I love them all. I'm obsessed with sharks. I love sharks. But I'm also like one of those people, as much as I love animals, I find myself not being able to watch many animal documentaries only because I don't like seeing animals kill other animals. I just don't enjoy it. And I used to be like, oh, am I soft? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, get over it. It's the life cycle. And it's like, no, this is a choice that we've all collectively chosen to enter into might is right and harming. And this is like a reflection of us. So of course I don't want to watch that. And it doesn't have to be natural, but it's what we've created. So anyways, that's a conversation for another day. But that being said, whenever I find a spider in my house in particular, I let them live here. I let them become a new roommate. They're beautiful omens, they're beautiful blessings. The spider is deeply connected to feminine energy. And most spiders you find are, I think I'm correct on this, they're usually female. Because the males don't survive very long. But so anyways, it's a good omen. I really enjoy it. It's like, oh, a new friend. And so there's a little tiny spider that just joined me, just moved in. And I'm talking like so tiny. And I asked her what her name was, and she told me it was Bella. And this is no offense to anyone named Bella. It's just not my favorite name. So I know it didn't come from me. I was like, oh girl, okay, you're Bella. Okay. Cause like my ego tried to like be like, no, you're not Bella. Are you maybe this? And she's like, no, I'm Bella. And I was like, okay, you're Bella. Got it. So she has been creating webs on my desk, and I've noticed her for the past couple days. And because she's so tiny, it makes me nervous that I'm going to put something down. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to smash her, right? And I've been in this perplexed, like, what do I do? I've literally been asking my guides, like, what do I do about the spider? Like, I'm happy with her to be here. I'd like her to have like a home, and it's totally cool. But she's so tiny. Typically, the spiders that come in here are bigger, so I notice them, and it's not a big deal. And also, she's been like on my computer, she's on my cards, she's creating all these little webs, and it's making me nervous. And I've always had this thing like wanting to save animals. So I have many times thought I was saving an animal and accidentally killed the animal in the process. And I'm talking about tiny animals like a bee. A bee's drowning in a pool. So I try and go take it out of the pool. And in the process, I get more water on the bee, and then it's over. And it always breaks my heart. And I'm like, what is the lesson here? Because it's like, if I'm a divine being, if I'm an expression of God, and I have the power to make a change and to help somebody or to help something, another expression of God, right? Another expression of the divine, isn't it my responsibility to do it? Isn't it my responsibility to step in? And the message that came through recently with this Bella experience is you cannot interfere with the power of choice, with free will choice on this planet. And so, yes, if you see an animal that is on the side of the road suffering, and you can go and take it to a vet, and you're not interfering with the free will choice that animal made, that's one thing. But if the bee decides to fly into the water, and there's really nothing that you can easily do that would be not interfering with the free will, it's life. It's what's happening, right? And so that's what I was noticing with Bella. Like, I kept trying to get her to climb onto something else, to move her, to go take her places. And it just wasn't working. It was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to smash her in this process. I'm literally going to smash her in this process. So I had to take a step back. And the message here that the divine is showing us is that is how God loves us. That is how the divine loves us. Loves us so much that gives us this free will, this ability to choose, this ability to experience itself in pain, in suffering, in the wrong choice, which, by the way, God doesn't see any of it as a wrong choice. There is no right or wrong choice. You can decide to go and murder. I know this sounds crazy and this is a hard concept, but you can decide to be the next serial killer, and God does not see that as wrong. I know that's really controversial, but God does not see that as wrong because you are experiencing what God isn't. So you are creating the opposite of love, which is God getting to experience itself, to know and understand itself more fully, more deeply. So when we look at life this way, when we understand it this way, it actually, for me, brings a lot of peace and comfort. And it doesn't mean that you sit on the sidelines and you go, I'm never going to interfere. I'm just going to sit here and not be in free will. It doesn't mean that you necessarily just kind of do that, because there are instances where you're going to be asked to step up and your intuition will guide you. And typically the places that we're asked to step up are very uncomfortable. Like, it's not that hard for me to try and go and save a bee. I'm not like losing a lot, but there may be instances where I am asked to do something that is more uncomfortable for me, like confront somebody about something, right? Or say, like, you know, if I see, let's get just an example. I see a parent being abusive to their kid in public. You know, most people go, oh, what do I do here? Oh, what do I do here? Like, do I just ignore it? I mean, it's their kid, it's their family, right? I'm just using an example, but that would take a lot of balls and that would be very uncomfortable. But, you know, these are the kind of choices. So it's like understanding free will, understanding how we move with free will. Because people are always like, if we're suffering and if there is a God and we're suffering and they're just letting us down here, like, it's like, no, it's you experiencing yourself and remembering who you are. And sometimes you do that through remembering who you're not. Sometimes you have a life of being a complete piece of shit. And maybe you die before you get to like have that come to Jesus moment, if you will, right? Maybe you pass on before you get to like clear it. That's okay. You're still loved. You're still divine. You're still a being of God. You are still an expression of God. And it is God understanding who it is through who it is not. Okay, I hope the Bella story made sense. But yeah, it was just, and really what touched me is, it was like, this is how the divine loves us. This is how the divine respects and honors us and does its absolute best to guide, never leaves, right? Is always there, is always supporting, never abandons, never judges, never condemns. This whole idea of the angry God was invented to control people. That's all it was. It was always just to control people. And it's sad that some people still have that so ingrained within. And the thing is each and every one of us, it is our responsibility. It's our deep responsibility to confront that shadow within us. Even if we were not raised with religion, even if we were raised atheist, agnostic, you know, Buddhist, Jewish, Christian, it doesn't matter. It is our responsibility to go inside and to find that shadow within us. And it expresses itself in any form of control, any form of desire of control or power. Might is right. We don't want power, we want strength. That's a big one that's been coming through lately, and maybe I'll do another download on that. But we're interested in strength here, not power. So any place within us that feels fear and that therefore then wants to go and control something, either controlling ourselves, controlling our emotions, shutting down our emotions, trying to control another through manipulation. This is all stemming from the angry God. This is all stemming from these beliefs, these mentalities, these stories, right, that are passed on ancestrally, generation to generation to generation. And it's also a complete denial of the feminine impulse. Complete denial of the feminine impulse when we have this angry God over here, right? Okay, I'm getting onto tangents. I can feel it. There's so much that's coming through lately that it's been really like a little bit of a challenge for me to get organized and concise in delivering these messages. But that being said, there's going to be a lot over in the Patreon for you guys, but I'm still coming here and sharing as much as I can with you guys as it gets clear. But if you're interested in more like this, definitely check that out. And I'm sending you guys big hugs and lots of love. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for supporting. The YouTube algorithm is it's just something else, right? I just sit there and I surrender. If you found this content, you were meant to find it. Like, you are here for a reason. And that to me feels very special. That feels very, very unique. And it just creates soul family. It just creates soul tribe, like community that we've done this before together, right? And we're supposed to build this. So that feels very special. And for that, I'm very grateful. Okay, I'm sending you all so much love. Big hugs. Please please subscribe, commenting. I love commenting. All of that really helps the algorithm. Of course, sharing it also helps. Yeah, but I'll see you guys soon. All right. Bye.